is still dark out, 4:59 a.m., and I'm heading out to Camp Verde area of Arizona. It's about a 2-hour drive, and we're gonna hike a place called Indian Maiden Falls on West Clear Creek. So got my coffee, second cup, which is pretty unusual for me, but I need it this morning. And I'm gonna start heading up there. The last stretch, heading out to Indian Maiden Falls, or the trail that leads to it anyway. I think it's West Clear Creek Trail. And this last piece of road, about a mile and a half in, you could hike it in, but if you want to drive in, you have to have a high clearance vehicle. So I don't know if you can tell how much of a core workout I'm getting through this. And it's kind of hard to see because my windshield got real dusty from the drive up. The sun is glaring in and glaring off of the dust, so at times it's difficult to actually see this trail. It's probably going to take me just as long to drive as it would to walk, but I wouldn't have to carry my my backpack, which is kind of heavy this morning. I'm going to have to dump some stuff out in the car. I brought everything I could think of, and I think there are just going to have to be some things I'll have to do without. All right, there's a split here, so now I've got to check my map. This hike is 7 miles out and back, so it's 7 total. It's a 2,000 foot decrease in elevation going in. So going in, you just go down. And then there's a lot of traversing water. There's some swimming involved to get over to the falls. I think the water may be super cold. I don't even know if I can do this. Big rookie mistake. I'm not a rookie, but I made a total rookie mistake that I wore shorts and a tank top. And it's 49 degrees out right now. And I know that water is still cold from the winter. It's even cold in the summer from what I've seen on other people's videos. So huge rookie mistake. I'm not sure how I'll make it through that. Glad I decided at the last minute to throw a hoodie on because it was still chilly when I left this morning. It was about 60. So I guess at least I have that. The descent on the trail is supposed to be pretty treacherous. Last summer some guy slipped, fell about 40 feet, broke his orbital socket, couldn't move. He had some other broken bones too, and it took several hours before somebody else found him. Another couple was hiking by and they found him and went and called for help. So you really have to be careful not to step off the trail, and the trail might be hard to find. But it's a Saturday. I got here early because I sort of want to avoid crowds, but at the same time, if there are other people, that'll help so we can kind of find it all together. I haven't seen anyone else coming out on this trail yet. I've seen a lot of campers as I was heading out this way, but I haven't seen anyone else driving on this trail. There's nobody walking on it. It's probably still too early for them. This is crazy. This is probably the craziest road I've ever been on. I'm so glad I put the Jeep's top up before I left. There's so much just dirt and dust, and it's chilly. So that would not have been a fun ride. I left a little over 2 hours ago. It's 7:08 a.m. right now. I left at 4:49, and so it's about 2 hours from North Phoenix. I'm looking forward to seeing the falls. So quiet this morning. There's nobody here yet. Not that I could tell. Haven't come across anybody. But I have parked Orangebird, and the trailhead is right over here. We're here at the trailhead. Finally made it up that long, crazy road, crazy rocky road. And they leave some walking sticks here, it looks like. That's what I forgot. I forgot my hiking poles. So, all right. Maybe I will be grabbing a stick, and let's see if they have a, what do we call it? Registration ledger, something like that. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in here. I'm gonna have to put the camera down to get into that dirty chewed paper. So this trail is open to hiking only. National Forest Wilderness. And the descent begins. So much more green here than it is back in Phoenix. I guess this is why they call it Camp Verde. And it is Verde out here in Arizona. You'd think they'd say Verde with a, Spanish accent, but nope, Verde. Verde Valley, Camp Verde. I've lost cell signal already, which kind of stinks because I was going to use my All Trails app to orient myself on the trail at any point that I was questioning what was going to be going on, because I think it does get more difficult down the road. So just so you know, you will lose cell signal here. A little dangerous. Oh, a lot of scat out here. Looks like maybe deer, maybe some mountain goats or mountain sheep. A lot of juniper berries too. A lot of juniper trees. So if you are a person who makes gin, you bring a bag with you. You can pick some up as you're walking the trail. Woo! Just slipped. It's very slippery here. This trail, it's not super steep, but I think the grade is kind of sharp, if that makes sense. I don't know, maybe a sharp grade does make it steep, but it just doesn't seem steep, except my feet are really sliding down. And I wouldn't want to drop down into any of that. This part of the trail is quite slick. I'm sliding an awful lot. So I'm just going to take it slow. That's one of the reasons I got here early, so that I could take it slow without fear of needing to get back out right away before it gets dark. In the end, see, here's a juniper tree. Look at all those juniper berries. Those look fantastic. Oh, this is really slippery. I wonder what it's going to be like going up. So to hike through this rock, probably from a rock slide, and that's really not a comforting thought. I'm about 1.5 miles in on the trail and faintly hearing some water. I don't know if that's a rumbling creek, or I think I'm going to go around this way, or if those are the waterfalls I can hear. I know there's going to be a lot of traversing the creek before I can actually get to the falls, so can't wait to see what it is. Well, that's a little stressful. I don't know if this is the right path, but the path up there brought me over there, and that was too much of a drop. There was no way to take that down. There's no way to take that up, but there's a cairn up there. So, I don't know, that doesn't look so good. So I kind of scrambled down this Still have some more to go. I do see a cairn over there. I don't know if I get through the trees here a little bit without falling. All right, so there's a cairn over there. So my guess is I'm on the right path, but I've taken so many wrong turns, and another rookie mistake, I didn't download the map and I have no cell service, so got to do what I can do to get there. I'm going to continue down this. Looks like a creek bed or river bed, something like that. So I'm just going to keep going and hope it takes me to the creek. I've already gone a little over 3.5 miles. I thought it was only 2 miles there, so I guess that just tells you how much backtracking I've had to do, which I am not a fan of. Going down, having to go back up, only to go down another way, having to go back up, and then back down. There's another cairn, so I'm going to guess this is heavily cairn marked, that I'm on the right path. And looks like I'm making it down, almost to the creek. Descents like this remind me of my age. I'm getting older, my knees hurt, and that part sucks, but whatever. It's quite beautiful down here. I am going to head up that way toward the falls. There's some fish in the water. I don't know what kind they are. I'm not sure what fish they would have here in Arizona. I know I live here, but I'm more familiar with the Midwestern fish. Hey guys, how y'all doing? Bigger than sardines. Oh, looks like I've come upon a campground. Some campers here, hanging their packs in the air. Hopefully there aren't any bears around, but it looks like so bears won't get them. But they were probably camping here. It's a beautiful spot. Water's serene here, and maybe I'll run into these people over at the falls. This part actually kind of sucks to walk on. These, hello little lizard. You gonna move? Hello. Welcome to the sun. You look new. Anyhow, there's no real trail here. Again, my rookie mistake for not downloading the map. I'm sure they have a trail somewhere. But I'm just kind of walking along the creek, and there are these boulders and leaves, and it's super unstable. Some of the rocks in the creek are really slick from whatever green stuff is there, and I slipped and dipped a little, got a little wet, and now I'm just going to look for a spot where I can recharge my battery, eat my lunch, and take a short break. This hike isn't fun at all. I hope the falls are the payoff. We'll see. And that's kind of the reason why the rocks are slippery. There's all this green algae over to the sides. In general, the creek is pretty clear. It's just slick with algae. I'll try to get over to the other side. Looks like there might be a path over there. A lot of bugs up in the sky. It's very pretty, just sucks to walk on. Right. So I fell a couple times. Coming through the creek, those rocks, they're super slippery. I fell kind of like right over there by those. Where can I get my finger? those rocks, trying to cross the creek so that I could get to this nice slab and sit down, have my lunch, and charge my phone. But yeah, fell in the process. There's a bug on me. Get out of here. Fell in the process, went down, got up, slipped down again. Hair's wet. My head nearly went under. Luckily, I have a dry bag, and I hadn't sealed it yet because I thought, well, when I stopped to blow up my inner tube, because I did bring an inner tube to kind of float my gear along, and I didn't think this was the right area for it. I was waiting for a deeper area, but looks like it would have been a really good area to just kind of float through the creek. So I think it's going to be time to blow up that inner tube and float on up. If I can float up, I guess I'd have to swim up. So we'll see how that goes, but I'm going to take a break now. Still haven't gotten to the falls. I am really questioning if I should finish this hike. Been really unstable doing it. I think it could be because I woke up at 2 in the morning and my mind just started racing with things that I needed to do to prepare for this hike. And even with that, I forgot my hiking poles. But just walking through here is really a pain. And the inner tube saved me a little bit when it got slippery, when I had to get into the creek. But I still fell backwards and still got wet. So it's not a complete lifesaver. Maybe it will be once I get close to the falls, if I get close to the falls. I'm not seeing anything down there that's looking like the falls, and my plan was to get out of here by 12 at the latest. It's now 20 to 12. So that's why I'm thinking this was much more challenging than I expected. So I'm thinking maybe I should just turn around. And aside from those campers' backpacks, I haven't seen a soul out here. So it's hard to even know if I'm on the right path, but if I'm going along the creek, that has to be right? So maybe I'll give it another 10 minutes and then turn around. Still pushing along. Gotta figure out how I want to cross here. Maybe I'll take some of those red rocks and then get in the water. I just ran into some people who were taking a break and stopped for a swim and were sunning themselves out on a rock. And I asked them how much farther it would be to the falls, which they said they were hoping I could tell them that, and I can't, but they did suspect it's a couple of more miles, 1 or 2 more miles, and it's after 12. I have to go because I feel like I'm averaging a mile an hour, and I still have to climb out of here. So not only to traverse the water on the way out, the slippery rocks, the water, deep piles of leaves that I don't know what's under them. When I step on a pile of leaves, I'm just like, okay, am I going to sink through? Look at all these leaves. And being in Arizona, I'm constantly afraid of stepping on a snake or scorpion or something. But this is a failed trip, and it's a bummer. I'm prepared for it, thought I was prepared, wasn't prepared for just how slow the hike would be. And it's not the kind of thing that you should ever do if you have plans that evening. We have plans tonight, so hopefully I won't be late for those. Yeah, what a bummer. I'm not looking forward to climbing that red rock out, nor am I looking forward to the steep climb out of here, the 2,000 feet up. I'll check back in later. Heading out. This is not fun. Maybe this will give you an idea. See my know if you can see my leg, and this rock is kind of like up to my thigh here. I have to climb up that, so it's super steep, and this is what's going on because it's hot. There's no shade, or not much shade I should say, so I've thrown my towel over my hat, and I'm not going to film a lot going up because it's just full of me huffing and puffing. I'll never do this hike again. I didn't get the payoff. A little over a year ago, I did a hike called Skull Mesa up in Spur Cross Ranch, and it was grueling. Elevation gain, I believe it was over 2,000 feet, and it was a 14-mile hike, so it really tested me, and I said never again. In October, I did the Grand Canyon in and out in one day, and I said maybe I'd do that again. I think I'd prefer to have a campsite, so if I could get a campsite early enough, I would do that again. This one, I'll never do again. I don't care that I didn't see the falls. I mean, I kind of care. I don't really care enough to try to do it again. It's not that interesting of a hike to me. I think walking along the creek is obnoxious. You have to walk across boulders and through leaves, and it's super unstable. Not the kind of hike that you should not bring your hiking poles to. You shouldn't forget your hiking poles for that one. So hopefully I'm almost up there, maybe another mile, we'll see. It's 2:14 in the afternoon, and I'll check back in when I get up to the top. Almost back to the trailhead, back to my car. My legs are walking a little wackadoodle. I can't tell if it's my heavy backpack, the rocks I'm walking on, or if they're just worn out. My final thoughts on this, I guess I'd say I wouldn't do it again. Even if I was better prepared with hiking poles and having downloaded the map. It's funny, I ran into some guys going down. Said, how much farther to the trailhead? They said, oh, it's about a mile. But you've got your final push and it's going to level out soon. I swear there were like 3 pushes. It wasn't just a final push. There were 3 inclines and then just slight leveling out. And now I'm finally back on some level ground. But they asked how the falls were. I told them I didn't make it. And they asked if I was doing a day hike, which I am. They said it's really tough to do in a day hike. So I think that's where I'll leave this. I'll call this my Indian Maiden Falls fail, not a day hike. Oh well, gotta share the fail. It's been 2 days since the hike, and I thought I'd give some final thoughts about it now that I'm back, sitting here with super sore quads and super sore calves from that hike out. But when I set out to do this Indian Maiden Falls hike, I was looking for those Instagrammable moments that I could share via video on YouTube. And instead, I'm ending up with a hike that talks about the reality of hiking in the wilderness and doing something like this. So the reality is walking along the creek, you get tired of the unstable ground. Walking in the creek, you get tired of walking on the algae-covered rocks. The novelty of the water wears off very quickly. There aren't a lot of sort of swimming points in the creek where you can just swim up it with an inner tube. There are a lot of rocks, they get in the way, tubing through it, you're going upstream, so you definitely would have to paddle, and at points it becomes so shallow that you just really couldn't do that. So you bring that inner tube for the area that gets very deep, much closer to the falls. I tried to use an inner tube to float my gear. I didn't want my gear to get wet. There are points in my video where the quality of my sound, my volume gets so low. And I think it's because one of the times out of 5 that I fell in the creek, my dead cat on my microphone got wet. And I think that muffled the volume a little bit. So I'm trying to deal with that in post-production by increasing the volume of those clips. And some of it's successful and some isn't. I'll apologize for that. But back to the hike, you also get very tired of running into things like poison ivy, along the edges of the creek. It was everywhere. I saw the 3 leaves and I thought, oh, leaves of 3, let it be, for sure. Had to dance around that, dance around the trees, dance around downed limbs, leaves that you don't know what's under it. You step on it, you don't know if your foot is going through to China. You don't know if you're going to step on a snake that could be under this huge pile of dead leaves. At one point, walking along the creek, I stopped on a boulder to assess my next move, and there was this loud chittering underneath my feet, in front, not right underneath my feet. The boulder was right underneath my feet, but in front of me. And I looked down, and there was some sort of a nest that was covered. Whatever built the nest covered it too with bark and things like that. And it was chittering really loud, so I certainly disturbed or scared whatever was in there, maybe a chuckwalla. So I didn't see any chuckwallas out there. I saw a couple of small lizards, but I quickly moved on so that that poor critter wouldn't be upset. So anyway, this hike is the reality. This is how it goes, and sometimes you have to stop and turn around for your safety. Sometimes the payoff just isn't worth it. I will be looking into Indian Falls, how to get there. If there's another way other than having to go down that trail, the West Clear Creek Trail that was the 2,000 feet down, 2,000 feet up, perhaps I would deal with the instability and how long it takes to scramble over those boulders creekside to get to Maiden Falls if I didn't have that long up and down. So if anyone knows of another way to get to Indian Maiden Falls that may be less grueling, I'm willing to hear about it. Sure, it'd be nice if I didn't have to scramble over boulders the whole way. I don't know if I mentioned it in any of my clips, but by the way, I was doing a 60-minute mile scrambling over those boulders. And to put it into perspective, when I walk, it's about a 15 to a 17-minute mile. When I run, it's about an 11-minute mile. When I hike something with elevation gain like a Piestewa Peak, that is about 1.5 miles up, I think I'm about a 27 to 29-minute mile. So given that this was flat ground, scrambling boulders, and I was doing a 60-minute mile, that tells you how unstable it was. I'm not an ankle roller. I was on this. I was constantly rolling and wobbling and trying to get my footing, and most of the boulders were stable. Some of them weren't, so you step on it and it throws you off. Your balance is off. I can't say I totally don't recommend it. What I recommend is if you want to do this hike from West Clear Creek Trailhead, I would camp at the bottom. Go there, have a tent, set up a campsite, spend the night when you're close to the falls, go to the falls, have a great time, then get out of there. That way you can at least split it up and relax and enjoy it. So not so much as a day hike coming from Phoenix. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have tips for me on seeing Indian Maiden Falls or some experiences from doing this hike that you'd like to share, I'd love to hear them.
Jump into the car.